Hello, my name is Doris, and I am Little Bird Products. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if you're new here, thank you for watching. And please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed before. You know the drill. It really does help the channel. What I thought I would do today is take a little trip down memory lane with you. I've had a few people asking, how did you get started? Have you always wanted to sew? Have you been sewing for years? Have you always wanted to do this? And the answer to all of those is going to be in this video, hopefully. The answer to have I always wanted to sew, I learned how to sew on a Trundle sewing machine at my mother's side. And I used that sewing machine for years and years and years until I had my daughter. And then I made a few baby clothes for her. And then she was about 8 or 9 years old, and that's when Little House on the Prairie came out. And she wanted to be Mary, not Laura in Laura Ingalls, but she wanted to be Mary because her name was Mary. So she wanted me to make her some clothes, and she had little granny glasses like Mary did. And so once she outgrew those clothes, she also outgrew the love for anything Mom had made. So I stopped sewing years ago. And then in retirement, we moved to Texas. And after having had many years in the workforce, more than I can count, I started working at, I think, 10 at the fair. So I'd been working pretty much full time since I was a teenager. And I was bored, bored to death. After we remodeled our house and we got in, I got out my sewing machine and started to make curtains for the house. And that's all she wrote. So that's how the sewing gig got started. And I wanted to show you here my inspiration for the name of my business, Little Bird Products. And I think if you've been with me for a while, you probably have heard the story about how this little bluebird used to sit on the back of a chair. I have a fountain outside my sewing room window, and he would look in the window at me and kind of peck on the window and watch me sew, and he was my companion. And so I named my business Little Bird Products after him. Of course, a few years later, after it was pretty well established as the name of my business, my husband said, well, he's not really looking at you. He's looking at his reflection in the window, and that's what he's seeing. And that just burst my bubble. But it was too late. I had dedicated him to the bluebirds that nested in our backyard. So that's how Little Bird Products, and of course my love of bluebirds got started. And I love anything birds. What I started sewing after the curtains, I decided, oh gosh, I needed to branch out. I needed to do something different. What would I do? Well, I did purses, and I did bags. I did headbands, and then I did aprons. And I really fell in love with aprons because, there are all different styles of aprons. So then I decided, well, having always earned money for years and years, not earning really was driving me crazy. So I thought, maybe somebody would like to buy my things that I'm making. So I heard about this little platform. And of course, I'd been in the software industry, so I never had given up my love of, working with software and learning new things. So I heard about this place where you could sell your stuff online. I think it was called Etsy. So I started my Etsy store. And this was back in, I think, 2010 or 2011. I was going through all my photograph albums to pull up some pictures to show you, and I'll have more of those in the end. And so I set up an Etsy shop, and I started selling my aprons. And I had some really nice aprons, and you'll see those in a little bit. And they were selling, relatively well on Etsy. And then I got this message on Etsy from someone here in Texas, and she said, I'm looking for someone who would like to share my booth at a craft show. She was getting older, and this was a craft show where they only let certain groups of people in. Like they had one person that sewed and made aprons, and that was this lady. And they had one jewelry lady, and one this lady, one that lady. And it was the oldest, and still is, the oldest running handmade craft show in all of Texas. And I don't do that show anymore because it is in League City, so it's a little far for me to drive. But I did it for years, and I loved it. And this lady was wonderful to me. And she has since passed away, bless her heart. But she really gave me my start in craft shows. And that just, it was wonderful to meet people, buyers in person, hear what they liked, and sell them some of my wares. And I made custom pillows and really fancy pillows too. And I'll show you some of those here. And at the time, I also started doing a few other craft shows, and I'll show you a picture of my early booth. I used to set my booth up. I had a table where I set it up where it looked like a canopy bed. I thought it was really neat. And I had it laid out. I had a down comforter and stuff on it, and then I would display my pillows on that bed, which made sense at the time. And then I would have empty plastic water jugs at the top because I didn't have a mannequin at the time. And I would put my aprons on those water jugs, and that would be on the top of my rack. And I did that, used that setup for quite a few years. It was really fun. And then, I found out about grid walls, and I got some grid walls. And so I had a much more complicated setup as I started doing more and more shows, more expensive shows. And my husband was there to help, haul everything in, set everything up. And he did that for me until he passed away 3 years ago. And since then, I've been doing the shows myself, and I have changed my setup. I no longer use all of those grid walls. I use rolling racks, and I set those up at the van, and then I hang my things up and I roll them in. So I can set up the show myself. I am now, in my later years, starting to pare down the number of shows I do. I no longer do spring shows. I only do fall shows. And this fall, I'm doing the fewest shows I've done in 10 years. I'm only doing about 4 shows, and they're selected ones where I have a little bit of help. And they're close to home where I can drive myself to and from the shows. So that's, I think, a bit of background. I have made quite a few things over the years. And so what I'm going to do is have a running photo collage here at the end and have a little description or a voiceover of what the things are that you're seeing. And you can see how I progressed from my smaller things that I was making. And I did sell all of these things in my craft show booths over the years. Now, if you've been watching my YouTube videos, you'll know that today I pretty much specialize in plus size women's clothes. I upcycle lots of things. I've gone through my beautiful stage of having all the wonderful, beautiful material, quilting cotton, and I have outdoor material because I made outdoor pillows, and I had home decor because I made a lot of other pillows for that. I still do make, along the way too, I also acquired my 2 embroidery machines because I specialized in children's book pocket pillows. And I still do those, although they don't sell as fast as they used to. And for some reason on Etsy, they're not a fast seller on there. It may just be the images that I use. I don't use commercial images. I use more, historic images that, you're allowed to use that are not copyrighted. And I put my own little sayings on them, and I do custom work on the book pocket pillows. So I still have my embroidery machines. I'm probably going to sell my older one. I'm going to probably sell Bertha this year because I'm finding that because I do less and less embroidery and fewer pillows, I can get away with just using BJ, my little younger embroidery machine. So that's how I went from then to now. I'm still retired. I am enjoying the little bit of extra money that I bring in from all of my craft shows and Etsy, and also a little bit of YouTube revenue that I have now. I've got almost enough to buy myself dragon drink, which is fun, and knowing my background in the software industry, you'll know why I find that a challenge and I enjoy it. I like to keep my mind a little bit sharp. I'd like to think I could do that for another 10, maybe 15 years, who knows, in this countdown for my fourth quarter of life. So that's my background. This is my latest thing that I'm making. I'm making ruffled collar shirts, upcycling men's shirts, and this has parts from 3 different shirts on it. I'm really enjoying that. I'm going to be doing, hopefully later this week, and when you watch Sunday's video, you'll see, I want to do some plus size or oversized women's t-shirt maxi dresses. That seems to be very popular right now. I don't really wear dresses. I like tunics. I like things that are floaty, but I don't really like the length of a dress. I'd rather wear, tights or pants underneath that. But a lot of ladies, especially when it's hot in the summertime, prefer a maxi dress. You can wear them as a cover-up. So I will be doing, probably my video for Sunday, I'll be doing on that. I need to make my first one successfully, though. So I'll be off and working on that. But I hope you enjoy this photo collage that I have coming up. And it will pretty much take you through the years, although on most of them I won't have the years on there. But you'll see how I progressed from making, my bags and bows and things like that, to my pillows, to my book pocket pillows, to my aprons, and then on to my clothing. And so that'll take you through the early years and how I got from then to now. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. I love, doing these videos for you, and I like to answer any of your questions that you have. So if you're just starting out, you can see what it looked like for me to just start out. And I still like to think of it as a work in progress, because I'm still changing. Every year I have new goals, or I build on other goals that I've had. And I've, met most of my goals, in one way or another. Sometimes those goals change and morph as you get through the year. So enjoy. Have a good week. Bye.